The monthly board meeting for May 14th, 2024, the Shell Rock River Watershed District is now called to order. Will you please call roll? Because of the official record of the public hearing is being made. Please note, comments are limited to 3 minutes. These rules are intended to promote an orderly system of holding a public hearing and give every person an opportunity to be heard and to ensure that no individual is embarrassed by exercising the individual's right of free speech. It is not necessary to be a proponent or an opponent in order to speak. If you consider yourself neither a
I've got a question here. Can our staff explain it just a little bit on the project when we have a public hearing, or how's that work? Can we have staff explain it?
Normally we would do it without.
Okay, that's fine. I get it.
stuff. Second time, anyone like to speak? Third and last time, anyone like to speak? Hearing none, the public hearing is now closed. Item number 3, public forum. Comments are limited to 3 to 5 minutes. First, we'll have Kathy and Brad Ebor.
Thank you.
I said that right.
That's correct.
Okay, could you please speak?
Good morning, and thank you to the board managers for all the work you do. We do appreciate that, but we do have some concerns that we'd like to speak to today. I'm Kathy Ebor. I'm here with my husband Brad. Our home is located on the north side of 240th Street, just north of the current CDF. We are seeking clarification from the Watershed District staff regarding the movement and clearing out of cell 1. Will you be moving all 40 acres, 20 feet deep of soils from cell 1 to the 25-acre lease land immediately along the northwest side of cell 1? Or will you be stockpiling it on the current land along the south side of the entrance road to the CDF, as well as on the other cells as proposed in February of 2024? It is unclear what the current plan is. Some of the stockpiled soils have already been sold to at least one contractor. Are you selling the spoils to others, or are you giving it away? Prior to the dredging, you were very confident that this would be an opportunity for the Watershed District to obtain funds for additional projects. In a previous board meeting, many managers asked you, Administrator Henschel, about this and the value of that topsoil, to which you replied. The value that I see right now is that it is really good topsoil. We have 3 samples in the bid pack. I'm wondering if those samples were shared last week. You then go on to say, phosphorus was lower, however, the organic is lower. Most of it is silt and some clays. It is suitable topsoil. It is a lot of topsoil. There are other projects across the US who sold it. Again, we could potentially look at it. There is an upfront cost to stack it and bulk it. Don't the taxpayers deserve you taking every opportunity to recoup costs and sell that soil? Perhaps to pay for testing. In April, we asked if there were contaminants in cell 1, and if you were planning to test the spoils prior to moving. The response was no contaminants are in cell 1. Well, that's not really true. After last week, we know there were contaminants in cell 1, but based on your testing prior to the dredging, you believe that they are below tier 2 and are able to be moved due to diluting the other samples. But you don't know what 20 feet deep of compacted soils contain for sure, or even how much phosphorus is in that soil now. We ask that you send information out to the surrounding landowners about the plans for this area. That request has been ignored by leadership. I understand people could come in and see and make appointments. But you are not willing to send information to the landowners other than 2 watershed weekly posts. Landowners should be aware of the work to be done, not to mention the 5 AM to 10 PM work schedule for up to 45 weeks that will occur. And if they have brown water coming from their well, will there be a resolution for that this time? At the study session last week, you made recommendations to the board that you have done your due diligence in testing the spoils. Regarding testing, you stated, I'm with the landowners. They definitely have the right to have those concerns, but we should go back and see all that you have done. You stated, where do we sample? Are landowners going to be satisfied if we take just 1 sample? It's a 40-acre site, 20 feet deep of material. Where do you start? Where do you end? The PCA does not require us to resample. You also indicated that other watersheds look to this watershed as leading the way in this area of dredging, and that you have talked with all of those who have had their plans approved. Since we are a leader, why wouldn't we want to establish a protocol for our landowners surrounding the CDF? We heard that one board manager tests farmland every acre every 4 years. Why not test 20 acres of this land? 20 acres at $1,750 is $37,500. You could test every other acre with a different test. Or all 40 acres for 70,000. When dealing with the DNR, you stated lots of discontent. It was stated concerning the discretionary EAW. It was good practice to update the previous EAW based on data eight-ish years old from public record. What has happened from the agency's perspective in the past 8 years? And are we using the most current data? Here, you are using data about the contaminant levels in cell 1 from how many years ago? I think it's 8. Do you really have the most current contaminant levels of the CDF? It was stated by a board manager, we are the local governing agency, where not just us, the board, the citizens we hear from, and others, it is us, this is our lake, we live here. It is kind of a slap in the face for them to tell us what you want. It is the local landowners, it is the local community. We agree. It has been stated that this move is for financial reasons. It's cheaper to move than to build more cells. So there are savings in reusing that cell. Can we use those savings to test that land? You have over a $3 million project reserve in your current budget in the board packet. I guess that's all we have to say. We thank you for listening to our concerns. We look forward to your responses. And again, we appreciate the work serving on a public board. We know it's difficult work, and we look forward to your response. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. That will go on to, oh, yes, oh, I can see that. Okay. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to talk? Okay. Third and last time. Anyone else from the public like to speak? Hearing none, we'll go on to item 4. Approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions?
Mr. Chair, at this point, there is no additions, corrections, or deletions of the staff out for the agenda.
We have a motion to approve.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to pull the minutes of the April 9th, 2020. I thought you were there. Okay.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? So by Manager Kramer, do I have a second?
Second.
Give by Manager Lee, any discussion? Hearing none, will you please call roll?
Manager Bakken,
Clarification here. So are we approving the consent agenda? Is that what we're doing here?
No, we're approving the agenda.
So,
Okay. Aye.
Manager Kramer.
Aye.
Manager Hanson.
Aye.
Manager Pasuski.
Aye.
Manager DeBoer. Manager Lee.
Aye.
Manager Delger.
aye, motion carried. Item number 5, consent agenda. Following items will be acted upon without discussion in accordance with the staff recommendation and associated documents unless a manager requests opportunity for discussion.
That's where I'd like to pull the item A, the minutes from April 19th. Please.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda, of moving item A. So moved. Manager Hanson, do I have a second?
Second.
By Manager Krasiewski, any discussion? Hearing none, will you please call roll?
Manager Bakken?
Aye.
Manager Kramer?
Aye.
Manager Hanson?
Aye.
Manager Besuski?
Aye.
Manager DeBoer?
Aye.
Manager Lee?
Aye.
Manager Delger?
Aye, carried. Item number 6, project program manager Courtney Phillips. Don't you want to go? Hold on.
Don't we get to correct it right now? I just a minutes corrected.
I thought I asked for discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
Okay, we'll go back there.
okay. So I only have one thing. It's in this, on the back page of the regular meeting minutes, there's a number of 26 comma .00.00. So what is that number? That's what I'm asking. What is the amount?
I think it's a change order to be 26,000, I'm guessing. I'd have to look back and see what the change order was for that JF Brennan. It was their bid alternate types. I don't have it in front of me, but we can get the correct number in there.
Okay, that's all I had, because I don't recognize them. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion?
So, Mr. Chair, we will need a motion then to approve the minutes for the April 9th, there's a board meeting with the addition of action. So.
Manager Hanson, do I have a second?
Second.
Manager Krasiewski, any discussion? Hearing none, will you please call roll?
Manager Bakken?
Aye.
Manager Kramer?
Aye.
Manager Hanson? Manager Besuski?
Aye.
Manager DeBoer? Manager Lee?
Aye.
Manager Delger?
Aye, carried.
Sorry.
So, item number 6, project and program manager Courtney Phillips.
Thank you. The first item we have is resolution 2024-10, the Pancom Prairie Restoration Plan Approval. So this item, as well as number B below, is regarding the Pancom Prairie Wetland Restoration Project. As you can see in the packets that you were included, there are updated 60% plans. These are very similar to how the plans were when you saw them last month, but I can go through a couple changes. So if we can go to page 10 of the plans, that gives an overview of the site. It shows that the berms are now going to be on the very south side. There's a landowner who has private land that borders the public land on the very south. So we're including that berm to run along the property to make sure that we're not adversely impacting his property with water. And they've worked really hard to drain that and they want to maintain farming it, so we are putting that berm in place. We also have the outlet structure proposed on the northwest corner of the property. Based on Bowser's comments, which were very valuable comments, we feel like beaver would probably be an issue and we want to be able to clean out that site if there was ever an issue. So we moved the outlet structure just north of this landowner's site. And it is gonna be a weir structure with water control levels. So it's gonna be a weir that deposits the water into a culvert that goes underneath the road. We are going to be building up the road to act as an additional berm. So now instead of the water outletting into the ditch, it's actually going to be outletting into the wetland of a DNR property. And that was the suggestion of DNR to do that additional filtration, and they want to see that parcel wet. So that is now our outlet. We are also including a parking pad at the very north side, the northeast corner. It's that little pink spot. There is no public parking on this site for any of it. And the landowner gets quite frustrated because they end up getting stuck and he has to pull them out. So when we were talking to him about this project, one of his wishes is that we can include some type of parking for the public. And so we are incorporating that into the site. And that's also going to serve as a parking for staff to maintain the pump structure, because that's where the pump is located.
Where's that parking gonna be?
So at the very dead end of that road, it's an old township road that is still being used for the site, but it goes to a bridge that leads to nowhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that old, it's gonna be right up there by that old bridge.
Correct. Yep. on the west
Be on
side
the
of it.
west side, because there is kind of a little bit of a drive on the east side when you walk back to where 52 comes.
Yeah, there's pretty much only room for one vehicle and two small, one big vehicle to kind of turn around there. So we have been in discussion with the landowner. This is a plan that is favorable to NRCS, Bowser, DNR. The thing is on this parcel itself, NRCS has an easement that expires in 4 years. They have a lot of red tape when it comes to restoration, so the goal of the plan is to build it now while we have the grant funding available for it. But we won't be putting in all of the stop logs in place until after that easement expires. So 4 years, so we're gonna build it now. And that actually gives us time to see where the water level is at and how the berms are doing. So then in 4 years, we can come back and potentially do touch up of the berms, because we are using the material on site, the peaty soils to build the berms. It's something that they've done in the past on the northeast side of this ditch, and it's proven to be working. And so they're planning on doing that same thing here.
It's really peaky down there.
It is, it is. This is a Lazard Sam's funded project, and the funding expires next June, then of next June. So having our plans approved at the 60% allows us to continue forward, getting all the agreements that we need with DNR and Bowser, and then being able to put it out for bid without having to wait another month for our board meeting. So these are 60%. If there is large significant changes, we will be bringing it back before the board, but we don't anticipate that at this time.
Okay,
So again, just to expand a little bit on Courtney's great description, remember this project is a project that was triggered towards moist soil management. You know the sites out there, they're heavily dominated with green canary grass. So the idea is actually taking water out of our ditch system and storing it up on land and helping that wet soil manage the vegetation type on the property. So again, looking to actually increase the habitat and water quality through this means and method. So again, that's what the overall project is.
I think this has been on the books for many years. Is it not?
It has been, yes, and even talking with the landowner who's lives there, he's like, I wanna see water on the site. You know, it's something that is just, it's dominated by that reed canary, and so people wanna see it more useful to the public and habitat.
And again, this plan has gone through probably 13, 14 different revisions, because we got too many chiefs with Bowser, DNR. So yeah, this has gone through many revisions, but I think we're finally to the point where we're ready to move forward with a plan that's approved by everybody. And to hopefully spend the money before the grant money expires.
So all your berms have 6 to 1 or 1 to 6 side slopes?
Yes, they are very gradual side slopes, there even was the discussion of each one, but it finalized on 620.
Okay, in the Stilling Basin, is that in different soils?
Are you saying this one?
Page 4,
So your structure,
Stilling Basin, 3 to 1, 1 to 3 slopes, is that different types of soils?
So that's the plan detail, so I'm wondering if that's just a generic detail that did
Okay.
potentially get picked, well, it's 6 to 1, there's the. What detail are you looking at that has the 3 to 1?
Stilling Basin.
Oh, okay, yeah, I think that's not the berm, I think that's by the pump station, so that it provides water to it.
It's a hole.
Correct, yeah.
So is that out of the peat soils or?
The peat soils are mostly kind of on the west side of the site, but we have the boring, so we can double check and look at that.
Well, I just. 6 to 1 should work, I guess.
That's a revision because we did have 3 to 1 in the first ones, but our first set of plans had a clay core in the berm.
Sure.
And this set does not have a clay core, it is just building up the organic materials, but it's different size slopes.
Okay, thank you.
So with that, I will read the resolution.
Any motion? First, we have that motion.
Oh, yes, please.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Manager Leo, we have a second. Second. Or please read the resolution.
Resolution 2024-10, Panicum Prairie Restoration, approved project plan, project number 2020-04. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District Board of Managers pursued the mission of implementing reasonable and necessary improvements to the water related and other natural resources within its boundaries. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District is charged with implementing the Shell Rock River Watershed District Watershed Management Plan. Whereas the Pancom Prairie Restoration Project 2020-04 was initiated on August 11, 2020 by resolution 2020-13. Whereas the Board of Managers, having reviewed the project plan and has determined the approval of the project plan will further the objectives of the plan. Therefore, the Board of Managers hereby finds that the project has the potential to promote the public interest in welfare, is practicable, and conforms to the watershed management plan as set forth above. Now therefore, be it hereby resolved that the Shell Rock River Watershed District, Section 1, approves the Pancom Prairie Restoration Project Plan as presented by ISG, and Section 2 authorizes district staff to conduct work as needed to present this project to the board for final review and public hearing as required by law, dated May 14, 2024.
Any discussion? Very not, please call roll.
Manager Buckin,
Aye.
Manager Kramer.
Aye.
Manager Hanson, Manager Pasuski,
Aye.
Manager DeBoer,
Aye.
Manager Lee,
Aye.
Manager Delger.
Resolution 2024-10 passes.
Thank you. So continuing on with the district's process for plans, we have resolution 2024-11 Pancom Prairie Restoration Establishment. This establishment gives us the approval to move forward, and when we have final plans, put it out for bid. So if there is a motion, I will read the resolution.
So moved. Manager Hanson, do I have a second?
Second.
Manager Kramer, please read the resolution.
Resolution 2024-11 Pancom Prairie Restoration Project Establishment, project number 2020-04. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District Board of Managers pursues the mission of implementing reasonable and necessary improvements to the water-related and other natural resources within its boundaries. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District is charged with implementing the Shell Rock River Watershed District Watershed Management Plan. Whereas the Pancom Prairie Restoration Project 2020-04 was initiated on August 11, 2020 by resolution 2020-13. Whereas the project plan was forwarded to the Board of Water and Soil Resources and Department of Natural Resources for review. Those comments were received by letter dated April 24th, 2024, and comments were received from the DNR on April 22nd, 2024. Whereas on May 14th, 2024, by resolution 2024-10, the Board of Managers approved the specifications for the project. Whereas a public hearing was held on May 14th, 2024 to review the project plan. Whereas the Board of Managers, having reviewed the project plan, has determined that the approval of the project plan will further the objectives of the plan. Therefore, the Board of Managers hereby finds that the project has the potential to promote the public interest in welfare, is feasible, and conforms to the watershed management plan as set forth above. Now therefore, be it hereby resolved that the Shell Rock River Watershed District hereby, Section 1 establishes project number 2020-04, Pancom Prairie Restoration Project. Section 2 authorizes district staff to complete the project as set forth in the project plan. And Section 3 authorizes the district staff to obtain bids, request for approvals, and enter into any other agreements or contracts necessary to complete the project. Dated May 14th, 2024.
Any discussions? None, please call roll.
Manager Buckin,
Aye.
Manager Kramer.
Aye.
Manager Hanson, Manager Pasuski,
Aye.
Manager DeBoer,
Aye.
Manager Lee,
Aye.
Manager Delger.
Motion for resolution 2024-11 passes.
Thank you. The next item I have is a motion to enter into easement for Everhart Lake. As you are aware, the district purchased property on the east side of Everhart Lake. When we were looking through that parcel, we do have access from the right of way on the very southeast corner of that parcel. However, that does not correlate with where the current driveway is. Technically, when they went in and realigned the highway, they put that little dip down because it's a higher rate of speed. And so the old township road went straight, and now the county road dips down because there's that curve there. So as a result, where the driveway currently is to access our parcel is in someone else's property. And so we spoke to that landowner, and they are interested in granting us an easement on that parcel so that we don't have to move the driveway that's existing in place, and that we will be able to use that existing driveway. So this is an easement with those landowners for us to just get to the our parcel from the new right of way after the realignment was done.
So where exactly is this? I mean, you see where they've been planting for years. Is it into the woods part or to the brush and stuff? Is where that's driving
It's
me?
to the parcel line, I don't think a survey. Yep, the survey is included in the easement. So if you look on the certificate of survey. You can see where it has the county highway number 17 that dips down. And the black solid line on the very south side is our parcel boundary. So there's a little, where that driveway is. Yeah, that's noted by southeast corner. That's where the driveway is, and you can see there's a a 30-foot gap.
Hmm.
From the road right of way to our parcel. We do have right of way access from the very east side of that line, but we'd have to put a driveway in there. And being that there's already an existing driveway, we're just trying to use the existing driveway and have legal access to it.
Do I have a motion to approve? So, by Manager DeBoer, do I have a second?
Second.
By Manager Lee, any discussion? Hearing none, please call roll.
Manager Bachman.
Aye.
Manager Kramer.
Aye.
Manager Hanson.
Aye.
Manager Susie.
Aye.
Manager DeBoer.
Aye.
Manager.
Aye.
Manager Belcher.
Aye, motion carried.
Thank you. The next item I have is a resolution 2024-12 with Start Sam's Outdoor Heritage Council grant application. The district is on application phase 14, which seems like a lot, but we're doing good things. So don't have a formal application for your view yet, but I will go through a list of projects that we are planning on acquiring funding for. The first is more for additional in-lake habitat. As you remember, we designed habitat for Edgewater Bay, but how bids came in, we didn't have enough money to complete the entirety of the project, so we are going back to get more funding to finish that in-lake habitat. There is one acquisition, and it is the home property. This is a 8-acre parcel that is located on the IC&E site. It is an abandoned property. There is a house on it, but it is in decrepit condition. This parcel is entirely surrounded by the IC&E site, and I talked to the landowner. They are interested in selling. Once acquired, it would be donated to U.S. Fish and Wildlife to combine into that tract. Next, we have a couple of Oak Savannah managements. This is working with DNR properties. The Ann and Leo, is it Donahue? Is that how you pronounce it? Donahue easement is kind of overrun with buckthorn along the lower Twin Lake, and so they're looking for funding to help with buckthorn management. We're also looking at restoring a wetland on the Juglands AMA site. That was a property that we had purchased that we had donated to the DNR. There is some wetland restoration potential there to connect it to the floodplain of the river. There is a stream bank restoration project. This is working with a landowner very close to where we did the stream bank restoration on the Shell Rock River a couple of years ago. This is a private landowner that's seeing some erosion taking place on his property along the Shell Rock. We've also reached out to the federal U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and they also have some properties that have some buckthorn. There's also the infamous rusty patch bumblebee that has been noticed on one of those sites, and that's like one of the first documented sites because they're an endangered species. So it's important to be able to get habitat for them. So we're including seeding, diverse seeding mixtures, as well as buckthorn removal on some federal lands. Again, by that Twin Lakes area. It would be the Twin Lakes and Goose Creek WPA that would be looking at doing some restoration work. And the final project we have is the parcel that the district owns that was a gravel pit. And then it's, an expired gravel pit, but there's 2 deep ponds on there. That we are applying for fundings to be able to kind of restore those sites, excuse me, so that we can get it ready for ownership to the DNR. Right now, it's not fit for public trust, use or enjoyment.
Where's that at?
Hold on, it's like 80, can you chime in? I got a thought.
So that site would be the roughly 30 acres, that was leased by Hewlands. At one point where they mined, soil and gravel out of there. That site we have not turned over to the DNR. Remember, it's part of the full 257 acres, that we purchased, way back in 2008, I believe. So that site, we've sort of kept, one, because we couldn't transfer it because I had the lease on it. Two, one of the things that was discussed with the DNR, fisheries, because it is not considered a WMA, it's considered a AMA, aquatic management area. So one of the ideas is to create a area there with those existing sand gravel ponds, to include a public dock access. And one of the thoughts is, we always look for places for our seniors, to go fishing. They have the spot there on Fall Lake, right there by the park, Edgewater Park. But we thought it'd be nice to have another spot, for public access and to allow, fishing. We could then stock, or DNR could then stock those ponds, and just help with, taking kids fishing as well. So that was one of the thoughts. However, this grant application is more getting it all ready, for DNR to implement that portion of the AMA plan.
Does that piece of property have no trespassing sign on it? Because I had a few people call up, want to know if it's accessible.
So the 32 acres of the gravel pit does have no trespassing because that's still under our ownership.
Right.
However, the additional 220 acres is open to the public, to hunt, fish, walk, sightsee, bird watch, whatever you want.
So we are looking at an application of $4,246,500. That might change slightly, but that's what the ballpark amount is. So if there's a first and a second, I will read the resolution.
So that was first.
So move. Second.
Manager Lee, second by Manager Suski. Any discussions? Hearing none, will you please call roll?
Oh, I gotta read the resolution. Resolution 2024-12. Shell Rock River Watershed District, LSOHD grant application. Be it resolved that the Shell Rock River Watershed District, hereinafter referred to as applicant, acts as the legal sponsor for the Shell Rock River Watershed Habitat Restoration Program, Phase 14, contained in the Lessard Sands Outdoor Heritage Council, LSOHD application, to be submitted on May 24, 2024, and be it further resolved that the applicant is hereby authorized to apply to the LSOHD, hereinafter referred to as state, for funding of intended projects on behalf of the applicant. Be it further resolved that the applicant has the legal authority to apply for financial assistance and the institutional, managerial, and financial capability to ensure adequate acquisition, maintenance, and protection of the intended projects. Be it further resolved that the applicant has not incurred any construction costs or has not entered in any written agreements to purchase property for intended projects. Be it further resolved that the applicant has not violated any federal, state, or local laws pertaining to fraud, bribery, graft, kickbacks, collusion, conflict of interest, or other unlawful or corrupt practice. Be it further resolved that upon approval of the application by the state, the applicant may enter into agreement with the state for the above referenced projects, and the applicant certifies that it will comply with all applicable laws and regulations as stated in the contract agreement. Now therefore be it hereby resolved that Andy Henschel, District Administrator for the Shell Rock River Watershed District, is hereby authorized to execute such agreements as are necessary to implement intended projects on behalf of the applicant. Dated May 14, 2024.
Now, do we have any discussion? You'll please call roll.
Manager Buckin,
Aye.
Manager Cleaver.
Aye.
Manager Hanson. Manager Suski. Manager DeBoer.
Aye.
Manager Lee. Manager Delter.
Resolution 2024-12 passes.
Thank you. So I've itemized a couple of project updates that we have. The first is the Fallen Lake Inlet Habitat. Bid pack 2 is completed, minus retainage payment, so that was the tollwood restoration that was along Whitwell Boulevard. So that is completed, they have it seeded, and so we're just holding on to some retainage payment to make sure that that is established. They have mobilized the dredges in for bid pack 1 work, which was the actual rock placement of the in-lake stuff. Checking with Brennan, it looks like The barges will kind of be sitting until after Memorial Day. They're anticipated to start. They're wrapping up a couple other projects, so it might be the week after Memorial or 2 weeks after Memorial Day weekend is when they plan on starting. We do have a pre-construction meeting tomorrow for the in Lake Habitat Bid Pack 3 work, which is the access piece on Bridge Avenue. So that is expected to get started here pretty soon as well.
And just to clarify one thing, it's not dredges that they're bringing in, it's the barges and the backhoes that they'll be using.
Didn't
Don't
see
get-
it. Oh, sorry,
We don't want to get people too excited.
sorry, you're right, my apologies.
Already been questioning going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all.
But I didn't catch that, my apologies.
Oh, you're good.
Yep. Next is the Bancroft Creek Wetland Restoration Project that is on a property that we purchased using the side stamps funding. The restoration is also the side stamps funding. We had a pre-construction meeting yesterday. We met with Larson Contracting, who is the contractor on site. They are looking to get started in a couple weeks. We just got to review the contract documents and issue the notice to proceed, but they are looking at starting in a couple weeks, and that's just simple wetland restoration project with an outlet structure that goes into a ditch and then some native seeding. Working on that. And the final project we have is the Bryson wetland restoration. This one is a property that we have an easement on, permanent perpetual conservation easement that we use LCCMR funding for. We use the LCCMR funding for the easement and we are gonna use the side stamps funding for the restoration. So we have reviewed project plans and established the project a couple months ago. However, we were waiting on a few other appraisals to come in on different projects before we could kind of finalize a budget to move forward. But we do have that project almost ready to be completed. We're just gonna kind of review the contract documents and put that out for bid and hopefully award a contractor at our June board meeting. Those are some updates that I have.
Good, quite a bit.
Yeah, we're busy people.
No kidding. That's all. I'll go on to item number 7, Administrator Andy Henschel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So item A is new employee introduction. I would love to introduce him. However, he is not here right now. He's actually in Austin over at the Cedar River, getting some education on water monitoring. So he was not able to attend this morning's meeting. So then I will skip down to item B, which again is the discussion on the confined disposal facility. And just give some updates again to the board and to the public. I will be getting up and I apologize for those who are watching on Facebook, but we are going to be using the screen to again just show some details of what the district has done as far as testing the material in the lake bottom that is present in cell 1, and hopefully try to answer some questions that the public had on where that material is going. So if you could pull that up, I'm gonna stand up here and open the screen. So again, the first thing I want to do is just sort of outline what the definition within the managing dredge materials explains in the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency's documents. So again, we're talking about use or reuse of dredge materials. And it says, except in the case where dredge material is heavily contaminated, the use or reuse of dredge materials is a viable and suitable management method. Use and reuse of dredge materials where suitable is highly recommended as a management option by the MPCA. So one of the other definitions I want to explain, because I think this is where it gets a little bit confusing, is the different management levels. So there's different categories that basically talk about the soil reference values. So we talk about them in tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, but they're also known as level 1, level 2, level 3. So this is what we'll talk about a little bit as we move forward, but this is the definition of it. Level 1 dredge material is characterized as being at or below analyte concentrations of all the SRVs listed in the level 1 SRV column of table 5. Level 1 dredge material is suitable for use or reuse on properties with residential recreational use category. Level 2 dredge material is characterized as being at or below analyte concentrations for all SRVs listed in the level 2 SRV column on table 5. So again, level 2 dredge material is suitable for use and reuse on properties with an industrial use category. And level 3 dredge materials is characterized as having a significant contamination as demonstrated by one or more analytic concentrations being greater than the level 2 SRV column in table 5. So Leah, if you wanna go up one. So this is the MPCA's values. One thing I will mention, again, MPCA in their documents asks you to do roughly 44 different parameters. So in 2009, we ran 66 different parameters. So we went again above and beyond. In 2013, we did 94 different parameters. Again, going above and beyond. One of the other things, if you're in their guidance document, it talks about if you're removing greater than 1 million cubic yards of material, their recommendation is 8 samples. We did 17 samples, and out of those 17 samples, we did 41 analytics of those 17 sites. So we did 41 samples at 17 sites. So again, going above and beyond MPCA's documents. Down to the next one. So again, here, I know we talked about this a little bit at the workshop that we had last week. But what I would like to point out again is, and focus on, is cell 1. So cell 1 at the CDF contains all the material from Edgewater Bay. So this is all the material from Edgewater Bay. So if we look at the 2009, because most of these samples were taken, no, I want to stick at the map here still. So all these samples again were taken in 2009. And the cores in question is core 4. Core 4 was the only core in 2009 and in 2013 that showed any levels of possible contamination greater or equal to a tier 2. And that was 1 sample out of the 1,650 samples that was performed in 2009 for core 4. And that was for exceedance of arsenic, which it had an exceedance of 20. So the tier 2 SRV for arsenic is 20. However, this exceedance was at 5 to 6.3 feet. So again, remember when I said we took multiple samples at different core sites? So at this site, site 4, we took 2 samples, 3 samples. We took 0 to 2 feet, 2 to 5 feet, and then 5 to 6.3. So what that is telling me, our dredge cut depth in that area was 4 feet. So that tells me that we did not even get down to that 5 feet where that arsenic level of the 20 in tier 2 is located. So that material, that arsenic level that is recorded at site 4 or core 4 at 5 to 6 feet is still there. We did not touch that. So that did not end up in CDF cell 1. So again, out of the total of 3,170 samples taken that went to cells 1, 2, and 3, that would be the only one that could possibly be an issue for us. And again, at 5 to 6.3 feet, we did not dredge that depth. So that material would not be in cell 1. We do have other cores that came back in the exceedance of tier 1 or level 1. And that would be cores 5. And that would be for arsenic at 17 and for copper at 160. So again, core 5 is here. This material all went into cell 2. So again, we're not looking at cleaning out cell 2. That is in cell 2, and I believe we plan on keeping that material in cell 2. The other core was core 10. Core 10 is over here. Again, we were above the tier 1 at 13, excuse me, and at copper at 120. And again, this core has yet to be dredged. if we go to the results from the monitoring and soil sampling that was done in 2013. Again, we did 16 samples at 6 different locations. Again, we did 1,520 analysis in this data set. So you will see in that data set, the only core that came back high again in arsenic. And that came back at 18 milligrams, or excuse me, 18 milligrams per kilogram. And that was at core 13, which is up here, sort of at the mouth of Bancroft Bay. And again, that core was at 5 to 8 feet. And again, our dredge depth that we are expecting to go back there is roughly 4 feet, 4 to 5 feet. So again, we probably will not be in that area of concern. And again, that is also going to be going into the new cell 1 as the cleanup. So going back and looking again at cell 1, the material that's in cell 1, yes, the material in cell 1 was from 2009. So it is what I would consider old information. However, we have no recordings of any spills or any other contamination from around the area since 2009 that we would think there would be high levels of a contaminant in that area. So again, if we move on, Leah, go up one more. Again, this is the soil borings that we took in 2009. Again, showing the level of 20, again, showing the depth, which is 5 to 6.3 feet in core 4. Again, I showed you core 4 was the core that was taken in Edgewater Bay. These cores were also taken in Edgewater Bay, core 1, core 2, core 3. These are the different depths that they were taken at. And again, we had no SRV values over the level 1 or tier 1. However you would like to look at it. Again, these are cores 9 and 10. These are in the main bay. These 2 areas have yet to be dredged. Go down to the 2013 data. Again, here's all the 2013 data. It gets a little bit overwhelming, but again, the only tier 2, actually, we didn't even meet the tier 2 of the 20 milligrams per kilogram. But we were over the 9 milligrams per kilogram. Again, we were at 18 on the 1 core, and that's core 13. And again, that's the core that's in Bancroft Bay. And again, that core was at 5 to 8 feet in depth. So moving on to the next. So again, one of the guidance documents also tells you within the MPCA guidance, as you take your samples that were high. So again, we took the 2009 data where our arsenic was a little bit high. This is at 20. This was at core 4. This core at 11. I'm not quite sure where that core was. But if you go back to the map. So that was, I'm assuming that core was core 10. Core 10, okay, so you can go down, core 10 is over here again, Edgewater Bay, or not Edgewater Bay, but main bay that hasn't been dredged. But what the guidance document tells you is you take samples from these 3, you mix them as what would occur in a dredge, where you're mixing in different areas, you're not just mixing the contaminated areas, and you do a composite sample. We did the composite sample, we took 4 areas that were high. You'll see this one, the copper to level, and this one was 9,000. The other 2 coppers were at 100 milligrams per kilogram. But with our composite, we came back at 7.3. So again, we're below that tier 1 threshold. And our copper came back at 30 milligrams per kilogram, again, below that threshold. Moving up to the next one. So again, I know we had a lot of talk about what background arsenic is in soils at our workshop. So I tried to find some data on what is considered background arsenic levels in soil. So I pulled this off. Lee, can you go down just some more? So I pulled this off of the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. It's called their Soil Background Threshold Value Evaluations from April of 2021. And basically what they did is they took 137 samples throughout the state of Minnesota, looking at data sets of what the arsenic levels were. So this is the best information I could find. And a reasonable statewide default for BTV or background threshold value of arsenic is 9 milligrams per kilogram in the state of Minnesota. So at 9 milligrams per kilogram, most of our sites are actually below 9, with the 4 sites, excuse me, that are just over the threshold of 9, and that would be 13, 13, 17, and 20. So again, just giving you some facts out there of what the statewide background information for arsenic is. And again, that information is available on the MPCA website from April 2021. So the other thing I did then is looked at the Minnesota Department of Health and looked at arsenic occurrences in new wells. And I know this really doesn't pertain to the dredge, but I was curious, what are the wells? And this one, the difference is this one's in micrograms per liter. So again, these are all private wells. None of these are state wells. And anything that had an arsenic level below 2 micrograms per liter is not mentioned on here. But you can see there's a lot of them between 2 and 10 micrograms per liter. And there's quite a few in Freeborn County even that are plus the 10 micrograms or greater than 10 micrograms per liter. The other thing to note that this is from 2008 to 2013. So all this is prior to us dredging, but this is the data that we found out there. Again, this can be found at, and that is not legible. But if anybody wants that information, we can definitely get it. So again, this comes from the Origins of Brochure, Arsenic Occurrence, August 2008, July 2001, map doc. And again, that's off the Department of Health's website. And I think it was that it. Perfect. So again, I am highly comfortable and confident with the material that we are pulling out of cell 1 is free of any contaminations that would be over the tier 1 or level 1, however we would like to say it. What I will also say is just to clarify where the material is going. So if you remember when we originally bid the project, we did have material going into cell 1, or excuse me, cell 3, and capping off and closing off cell 3. However, after discussion with the contractors, we felt we needed some more room for them. That's when the board leased roughly 27 acres just to the northwest of cell 1, and also the property that we own just south of cell 1. So that's where this stockpile will be going. Yes, I will say that the cell 1 is 40 acres in size, but you got to remember that includes berms, all that stuff. So I can't tell you exactly acres of where the material is coming from. However, I will tell you that in the bid contract, we are removing roughly 650,000 cubic yards of material. So out of that 650,000 cubic yards of material, it will be placed either south of CDF cell 1 or northwest of cell 1. I will tell you the material that is placed on the south of cell 1, which is on district property, at a later time will be able to be used or sold as reused material. Again, that is a decision for the board to make at that time. We can once we stockpile it, of course, we will follow all the MPCA's rules and requirements. For stormwater control, it all has silt fence surrounding it. It will be seeded in a timely fashion, so we don't have to worry about erosion control. Of course, as a watershed district, you know, we are very adamant about that, especially on our own projects. So again, we'll be looking at making sure that our contractors meet all of those guidance documents. We will have an on-site inspection person from the district out there working with our contractor. Trying to think what other questions I'm missing. I think I'm answering most of the questions. I probably missed one or two here and there. Any other comments or discussion from the board regarding the confined disposal facility?
What's tier 1 for arsenic?
Tier 1 for arsenic is 9.
So that's the statewide average in soil.
Correct. Okay. Based on MPCA's documentation for background arsenic levels. Average background arsenic levels in the state of Minnesota.
On our region, we have predominantly clay subsoil, so everything's going through the most part clay as it filters out. We're not like further east of Minnesota, for example, it's Kursk, I believe it is, where it's you have a lot of rock, bedrock where things can just filter. They don't necessarily filter, they just go into the water table first. And yeah, thank you. So we have in our region, you know, much more filtering capability, like natural filtering capability, correct?
Correct.
So this getting down into a well, like there's not, for one thing, it's. We don't have that straight shot getting down into well water, but
Correct, and also in the design, I mean, that's why in the design, you know, we did have. Piezometer meters out there that basically small little wells that measured water level, groundwater level. During the construction of the CDFs, so we made sure that we were not in building in those high water tables. And we also, it gave us, you know, the assurance that we had enough of a clay filter underneath to give us the protection, as well as, you know, our berms are 50 foot wide, and that's all built out of clay as well. So yeah, I mean, we have a ton of protection per se, with the clay liners that we have in both cells 1, 2, and 3. The other thing I will note that I did forget, all of this documentation is public. Most of this documentation was in the first EAW that we did, or environmental assessment worksheet that we did. That went out to all of the state agencies, MPCA, DNR, Army Corps of Engineers, Bowser. So all of this information has gone out there. There was talk about the soil samples that we did when we looked at bidding the clean out of cell 1. Yes, we did those soil samples. We did not do those based on contamination levels. What we did those on was based on soil type. So was it silt, clay, sand, whatever. And then we did just general samples of phosphorus levels, nitrogen levels, so on and so forth. Most of those samples that we took, I believe there was 3, maybe 4, only went down roughly 2 feet. What we did find within those samples is there's a lot of silty material out there, which is what you expect. Silt is one of the first things to run off, just due to size of the material. Also, we did not find a lot of phosphorus in that top 2 feet. But if you remember, it was pretty much all trees for the last 2.5 years. So it grows trees really, really good. And we believe that through the trees that uptook that phosphorus in those top 2 feet. That data is available. I believe it is public. I believe it is on our website. If you look at the bid specs, We had it in the bid specs for the bid process, for the contractors to review. So again, I mean, that information is out there. Again, all of this information is out there and you'll see even in our new EAW, environmental assessment worksheet that we did here in 2024. For phase 3 dredging of Bancroft Bay and Main Bay, that we submitted the same information, the same documentation. Again, to MBCA, DNR, Corps of Engineers, Department of Health can review it. I mean, it's open, it was opened up to everyone within the state of Minnesota, and even if you're outstate, you can review and comment on it. So yes,
When you get out, so the CDF is clay line, but when you put it outside stockpile, we still have substantial amount of clay. It's still getting filtered through, you know, the natural.
yeah, it would still get, it'd still be filtered to the natural. Again, you are stockpiling it, or working it into the ground. Again, this material to the northwest is going to be reused as agricultural land. All of that material as it's stockpiled will be surrounded by silt fence. So we do have rain events, and there is runoff. The silt fence catches that. It will be in the permit for the MPDS permit for the contractor that is stockpiling, that fence is cleaned out after every rainfall event over an inch. So again, taking in all of those environmental concerns as far as runoff. Again, once it's done, it will be temporarily seeded as the process goes forward. So again, we're looking at every possible route we can to, you know, contain the soil on site.
So, just, I wanna make sure I'm hearing it right. Basically, the soil type in that area where the CPFs are is clay, it's not like Glendale where it's sandy. So it's, I mean, you get, it holds water better, it should filter out the contaminants and stuff, whatever. Correct.
Correct, absolutely.
What we have is essentially stuff that has background. Certain amounts of background of that element in the soil. It's not like xylines or, you know, chemicals that are gonna leach.
Yeah, let me just go through some of the parameters that we sampled for. In 2009, inorganic metals, we sampled for 14 different ones. They range from arsenic to copper, chromium, lead, zinc, cyanide, mercury. We sampled for 8 just general parameters, nitrogen, ammonia, nitrate, phosphorus, so on and so forth. We sampled for 11 different organic pesticides, so like DDT, are just some of them. We sampled for 9 different PCBs. We sampled for 4 volatile organic compounds, thank you. And then we sampled for 20 different SVOCs. And then in 2013, again, we sampled for 9 different general parameters that again includes phosphorus, nitrates. Then we again sampled for 11 different organic metals. SOVs, we actually sampled 44 different types in 2013. Instead of 11 pesticides we sampled for in 2009, we sampled for 21 different pesticides in 2013, and we sampled for 9 different PCBs. So again, in total, we ran 3,170 different analytes on those soils. And again, 17 different cores, and within those 17 different cores, we ran 41 samples within those 17 cores. Any questions?
One question, are the public forum comments available to us as the board? By email or we have to see a written copy next month or whatever?
So are you talking about the comments we received today?
Yes.
Yeah, we can have those available in the minutes. They'll be in the minutes for next month.
But can we get them a little earlier? Is what
Yep.
I'm asking for.
Yep.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so with that, any action the board wants to take regarding cell one? Or is the board comfortable with proceeding with what we have?
I'm comfortable proceeding with what we have in place.
Would the pollution control agency have allowed us to even place the material in CDFs if it was dangerous?
No, it would actually have to go to a certified landfill that is
Burn it or landfill it, live landfill.
a line landfill that's permitted by the MSA.
So we have the protection of that agency. Which is fairly stringent. Based on stringent parameters.
Correct.
Yeah, I agree. I think we went through this process. And we found out what the soils are like. That's why we put the CDF sites up the way we did. Now we're looking to take it to the next level because we feel it's safer.
Absolutely.
I think you guys done a great job. The details going through everything's great. So I'm 100%.
And like I said, we went above and beyond. I mean, we didn't just go with the bare minimum of what PCA suggested. We went above what NBCA suggested. And did the extra samples for one, and then did the extra analysis within those samples as well. So, we went above and beyond even what NBCA had for guidance for the watershed district.
I agree. Otherwise, we would not go back. So have we done everything perfect? Is correct.
I'm impressed with how many samples. I had no idea. We did that many samples of it, make sure everything is clean. Making the tiers or whatever. But I'm impressed with that. I mean, I guess I don't know how it could change in the CDF after it's been put there, all the samples that we've taken.
Yeah, and I'm very adamant that, the board was, very clear, when we were doing this, that we wanted it to be safe for the public. And that's why we went the extra step, to make sure, that we weren't putting contaminated material out there. Also, we needed to know what we needed to build to hold our material. And if it was contaminated and we knew we had to build a permitted, basically MPCA permitted line ponds to their specs for tier 3 material or level 3 material, again, however you wanna describe it. We probably wouldn't have done half of what we did just because the cost would have been out of this world. The one thing I will mention too, because there's a lot of comments on the discharge back to the lake once the dredge projects start. Again, that is another thing where the district, worked with DNR, worked with the Army Corps of Engineers, Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. We monitor that discharge from cells 1, 2, and 3 on a weekly basis when they're pumping to those cells. We're monitoring them for, the phosphorus, nitrogen, TSS is a big one, total suspended solids. And those are the things that we need, and if we're not meeting those criteria set in the permit, then we have to shut off the discharge, let it settle out longer before we can continue to discharge and move forward. So again, we understand that we're spending millions of dollars on, again, dredge. We don't wanna then put that material right back into the lake.
Comment, please. I've been on the dredge committee since pretty much from day one. There was a time I served as a alternate, I guess, on the dredge committee, but in the early days, we took tours right down to Clear Lake, Iowa. We went right on the dredge. We went out to the sites where they put the material. I've been back to the sites and seen the volunteer trees and the goats that are cleaning it up right now. The other lake that's right west of Clear Lake, there's a small lake there. That name doesn't come to you.
Yeah, sure.
Well, it's still, but anyway, the DNR did another dredge site there and our committee actually visited that site. And looked at what they're doing, where they put the spoils, how it's working. I've been on the Mississippi River when they dredge the river. They take the material and put it on the shore. There's no extensive testing that I know of. I mean, they test it maybe after they get it there to find out what they put out. But to me, we jumped through all the hoops to get this done right. So I want to move ahead. I'm ready to go move ahead, and I think we've done our due diligence on it.
And speaking of Clear Lake, DNR dredged a portion of that a few years ago. And you know where that Baptist camp is? All that dredge material went over to there. Because it was kind of a low spot. They leveled it all off. Now they got cabins on it. They got a place for the kids to play, got all kinds of things there. Over top of that spoil. So evidently it's okay there.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say, I'm the new guy on the board here, but I've been watching the watershed for a long time, since its conception. And I helped appoint, I think, every one of you guys to the board. So, but I think you guys have done a fantastic job. You're looking out for the citizens, you're looking out for the environment and everything else. And as I look at the data, you guys, I think you went far and beyond what you actually needed to do, which I commend you guys for, to show that this material should be safe or is safe. So I support this 100%.
All right, well then with that, let's move on to, it only gets more exciting as we go here. So item C is a motion to approve the response letter regarding comments on the Fountain Lake restoration and the environmental assessment worksheets, or the EAW. There is copies of this out there at the table. Again, my apologies to the board. I know we sort of sent this to you guys last minute yesterday, trying to wrap up all of this stuff. But you will see this, I don't even know how big the document is. But again, this covers all the comments made from the environment, or excuse me, the MPCA, Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. Also includes the comments from the DNR, Minnesota DNR National Heritage Information System, along with the DNR Waters. So again, this pretty well is an extensive question. It answers, answering every one of their questions. So again, as we did with the first EAW, I would like a motion to approve the response letters. Again, regarding the comments to the 2024 EAW. And then we'll send these out to the agencies that come.
Well, do I have a motion? So manager position, have a second, manager Hanson, second. Any discussion?
Second.
I did.
You can.
Go ahead. Your board second.
Hand me down.
Okay, any discussion? I know I went in here and read through this twice, once slowly somewhat, and then quickly the second time, and there's a lot of stuff in here that everyone should read. Gets kind of boring, but it's worth the read if you don't have, if you got time. You should have.
It really sells our case, especially for the bankrupt payer. And that's what we need to do.
Right. Any more discussion? Hearing none, will you please call roll?
Manager Bachmann.
Aye.
Manager Kramer.
Aye.
Manager Hanson.
Aye.
Manager Bestuski.
Aye.
Manager DeBoer.
Aye.
Manager Lee.
Aye.
Manager Delter.
Aye, motion carried.
Thank you. Item D is a resolution 2024-13 approving the finding of facts conclusion of law decision on the environmental assessment worksheet for the Fountain Lake Restoration Project, East Main Bay and North Bay. So again, looking for a motion, and then I will have Leah read the resolution, and then we can go into discussion.
So moved.
By Manager Hanson, do I have a second? Who's all is it?
First,
Who's speaking? Please read the resolution.
Resolution 2024-13. Shell Rock River Watershed District, Fountain Lake Restoration Project, East Main Bay and North Bay Project number 2013-02. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District is the responsible government unit in the processing of the environmental assessment worksheet for the proposed Fountain Lake Restoration Project consisting of construction of a confined disposal facility and dredging of Fountain Lake, East Main Bay and North Bay. Whereas the district has submitted a copy of all public agencies on the EAW distribution list, provided a press release to the local paper, published the press release on the district website, and published a notice of the EAW in the EQB monitor, all of which were done in accordance with Minnesota Rules, Chapter 4410. Whereas the 30-day comment period ended April 18th, 2024, with 3 public agencies commenting. Whereas the district acknowledges the responses from the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, and Department of Administration. Whereas the district conducted a board workshop on May 7th, 2024 to consider the comments to the EAW responses and the project. Whereas the district has responded to all substantive and timely comments on the EAW. Whereas the information gathered during the EAW process and the comments received on the EAW do not support a need for an EIS on the proposed project. Whereas the district has considered the comments that were received, responses to the commenting public agencies, and the evidence in the record. Whereas the district has been presented and reviewed draft finding of facts, conclusion of law, and decision in the form as attached to this resolution. Whereas the district has compiled and will maintain a full record of decision available for review upon request. Now therefore be it resolved by the district as the RGU that a negative declaration is made on the need for an EIS for the proposed project. And be it further resolved by the district as the RGU that a record of decision has been prepared on behalf of the district to address the specific comments and concerns of the responding agencies and supporting the declaration of negative need and the findings of facts, conclusion of law, and decision is approved and is attached to this resolution adopted by this board on this 14th of May, 2024.
Thank you, Leah, and I do want to add just, we went through a lot of the findings and questions that both the MPCA and DNR had at our last workshop. Really looking at, all of the, again, monitoring, sampling that we have done, within the lake bed itself, especially up in that Bancroft Bay area. I think some of the best supporting documents that we have is the mobile phosphorus documents that our engineering put together for us back in 2017, 2016, where it shows the highest mobile phosphorus is coming from Bancroft Bay within Fountain Lake. And right there, that shows the need. And, I hate to say it, but, I think in some aspects, the DNR has to be willing to look at our One Watershed, One Plan, our TMDL. These are all state agency required studies that have gone on within Fountain Lake. And most of those studies, we focus on Fountain Lake and the internal phosphorus source that we have there. We could eliminate all the phosphorus coming in from all the tributaries, and that lake still would not meet state standards because of the internal phosphorus load. So the only way to help us meet those standards is to affect the internal load. As long as we keep and expand on the external load coming from outside the watershed district, which I think, again, as Al mentioned at the workshop, you know, we are doing that with the cover crop programs that we're trying to get up and going, and all the other projects that we did with our, you know, sanitary sewers, working with the city of Manchester, you know, getting them on the city of Albert's services. You know, those are all projects, yeah, they were a long time ago, but they're all part of the puzzle when it comes to reducing phosphorus load to Fountain Lake. So again, I'm very happy with the job our engineers did. I'm very happy with what we presented in this EAW. You will see DNR had, I don't remember what it was, 30-some questions. Quite similar to the first time we went through this negotiation phase, I'll call it, with the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. And, you know, at that time, both the MPCA has really changed their tune this round. I mean, if you looked at their questions and comments were quite supportive of what the watershed district is trying to do and what we're trying to do to clean up Fountain Lake. So again, I am very satisfied with the product that we are putting together. However, I do want to note there's always the potential that the DNR could come back and say, no, they don't agree with our findings of facts, conclusion of law, and decision. But again, I think this is the next step for us to move forward in this process of getting the permitting process done for phase 3 of Fountain Lake, which is Main Bay and Big Rock.
Any discussion?
One more comment.
Sure.
The Iowa DNR does the actual dredging in Iowa on the lakes, as far as I remember. So when you cross the border, it's that much difference where one agency leads it down there and the other one tries to stop it, slow you down. So that's a world of difference to me. Thank you.
Any other discussion? None?
Manager Bakken,
Aye.
Manager Kramer,
Aye.
Manager Hanson,
Aye.
Manager Besuski,
Aye.
Manager DeBoer,
Aye.
Manager Lee,
Aye.
Manager Delger.
Aye, resolution 2024-13 passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, can you pull up on the screen the conceptual phase 3 dredge plans? Again, what I'm looking for here is board approval for the phase 3 conceptual dredge plans for Bancroft Bay and Main Bay. I believe it's page 7. Yes, these would be the same that you received at the workshop the 9th, I believe it was. No, one more page. One more page, I was way off. There you go. That's the page one. So again, what I'm looking for is board approval, approving the concept of these cuts, these locations. Again, this is what will allow us now to submit our first draft of a permit to the Minnesota DNR waters to again permit phase 3, which includes Bancroft Bay, Bancroft Channel, and then the East Main Bay. Again, this is what we are looking for to move forward with the DNR. So I want the board to, again, just approve this conceptual plan so that I have the authority then to start the permit process with the Department of Natural Resources.
Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Manager Hanson,
Second.
Manager DeBoer. Any discussion?
What?
Oh, he didn't say it, but you raised your hand, so I was following. Okay, Kramer then the second. Don't be waiting. Okay, we're gonna get here. We got the discussion done. Yep, you saw roll.
Manager Bakken,
Aye.
Manager Kramer.
Aye.
Manager Hanson.
Aye.
Manager Besuski.
Aye.
Manager DeBoer.
Aye.
Manager Lee.
Aye.
Manager Delger.
Aye, motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item F, resolution 2024-14, award sale of country club property. And if I can get a motion for this, then we can have Leah, read the resolution and then have some discussion.
Do I have a motion?
You can have a motion.
By Manager Bakken, do I have a second? Who's the second? Lee, Manager Lee has a second. Okay. Please read the resolution.
Resolution 2024-14, award sale of country club property. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District Board of Managers pursues the mission of improving water quality within its boundaries. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District is charged with implementing the Shell Rock River Watershed District Watershed Management Plan. Whereas the SRRWD by resolution 2020-11 dated August 11th, 2020, found the country club property excess, unused, and authorized the district to pursue sale. Whereas the property consists of 3 parcels, the large parcel of approximately 30.8 acres and 2 smaller residential lots and a sliver to the north, less than 1/2 acre each. Whereas the SRRWD completed a wetland restoration project on the property and used the wetland credits for the SRRWD to complete other projects with the wetland credits, including the Fountain Lake Restoration Project, CDF cell construction, and continue to hold wetland credits for future use and benefit. Whereas the SRRWD continues to hold wetland credits with an estimated value of $280,000. Whereas the SRRWD used wetland credits with a value of $192,000. Whereas the SRRWD will continue to retain the portion of the country club property where it implemented wetland protection and wetland credits consisting of approximately 15.74 acres of wetland and upland native grasses and wildflowers. Whereas the SRRWD has followed applicable law and engaged in an open and interactive process to sell the excess property, including listing with a realtor and engaging in discussion and negotiations with interested parties since August 2020. Whereas the large parcel have an appraised value of $340,000. Whereas other negotiations with several parties, the highest offer was made by Albert Lee Port Authority, $245,000 plus all closing costs. Whereas the infrastructure has only been approved through year end. Therefore, holding on to the property longer will create more expense for SRRWD to obtain additional approval. And if upgrades need to be performed, including to curb, gutter, road, sewer, and water infrastructures. Whereas the sale ends, SRRWD expense of insurance and maintenance upon the property, including mowing. Whereas selling the property for further development and return to tax roll provides benefit to the community. And whereas the SRRWD believes the sale of the large parcel is in the best interest of the SRRWD. Now therefore, be it hereby resolved, section 1, the sale of the large parcel is approved and is in the best interest of the SRRWD. And section 2, the staff, the chairman of the board of managers, and the secretary are authorized to sign all contracts and documents necessary to proceed with the sale, dated May 14th, 2024.
Any discussion?
I have one comment.
Go ahead, Manager Bakken.
So I was on the on the board when we purchased this property. And we used it with the idea we're gonna use it for a dredge site, for holding area, different things. And the city of Albert Lee worked with us on different sites around the lake for the dredge staging. Yeah. So we established these wetland credits that are of value to the community. I think we've taken care of the tax dollar for the community on this project too, and I'm really happy to see it move back to the public and to the community. Thank you.
I agree. Any more discussion? Hearing none, will you please call roll?
Manager Bakken,
Aye.
Manager Kramer.
Aye.
Manager Hanson.
Aye.
Manager Besuski.
Aye.
Manager DeBoer.
Aye.
Manager Lee.
Aye.
Manager Delger.
Aye. Resolution 2024-14 passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item G is a motion to purchase water monitoring database. So if I can get a motion and a second, and then we can have some discussion.
Do I have a first?
So moved.
Manager Kramer, second, Manager Patuski. Discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the Shell Rock River Watershed District has been using the same access database since its inception back in 2023. However, this database is very cumbersome, very non-user friendly. It really inhibits us some abilities, especially like sharing it online with our webpage, making it interactive for the public to use. So we are looking at purchasing some software called Whiskey. Whiskey is a water monitoring database software that is used pretty much statewide by many different watershed districts. It is quite user friendly. It works very well with web pages, so it's actually has interactive maps that we'll actually have on our web page. You can go there, click the monitoring site, and read the monitoring data that we have at those locations. So again, we are looking for board approval to purchase Whiskey database software. There is a one-time cost of $15,000 for the Whiskey software that never expires. That is again a one-time cost, and we will have an annual support and maintenance of 20%. So it'll cost us roughly $3,000 a year in this program. Again, I expect the first year for that to be right at that 3,000. And then once our staff get up to speed on the program, that yearly maintenance and support will go down. We did have another option where we could actually have the Whiskey hosted by the owner. But with that, the cost of that is roughly $1,500 to $2,000 per month. Which is quite expensive, and they have a basic setup, install, and configuration along with training at roughly $7,000. So we feel it's more advantageous for the district to actually purchase the one-time license and then just have a support maintenance fee based on a per year basis. The maintenance fee also does include some training and some workshops. Again, they estimate that at roughly 2 to 3 days. So again, looking for a motion to approve Whiskey software, water management database, again, for roughly $18,000.
I think we have the motion already, so we just need any more discussion. I think it's a good idea to keep up on water monitoring information for sure.
And that's a software that, like the monitoring buoys and stuff like that can connect to put that information on our website, for example, so water temperature, oxygen content, all that kind of stuff. The public can simply go to the website and have the capability to look at a map and see those parameters.
Yes, and it will also include the lab parameters. I mean, we have to get those back from the lab and digitally enter them in.
Okay.
But they'll also be able to see those parameters. That won't be live data, but it will be on that software.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we please call roll.
Manager Buckin,
Aye.
Manager Kramer,
Aye.
Manager Ginsburg.
Aye.
Manager Pasuski,
All right.
Manager DeBoer.
Aye.
Manager Lee, Manager Daltrey.
Aye. Carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item H, motion to purchase a Trillium cedar. We could call this a brilliant cedar. We could call this any type of cedar. Mr. Chair, do you want to get a motion in a second before I go into some more discussion?
Do I have a first?
So moved.
By Manager DeBoer, do I have a second?
Second.
By Manager Kramer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the reason we're looking at the needs for this is kind of twofold. One is when we purchase some of these smaller restoration sites, 15 acres, I call 15 acres or less, smaller restoration sites. We're paying, pretty big money for those smaller restorations for having them seeded. I believe that we can be paying ourselves. So I look at basically two options with this brilliant seeder or trillion seeder, whichever one we look at getting. One, I think, you know, we can use it and pay ourselves back through our grants within some of these small seedings that we do. The larger 100 acres or 90 acre plus seedings, it's just way too small of equipment. But we have the equipment for a smaller 7-foot drill is what we're looking at here. And again, the other thought is to actually be able to rent this unit out. There's a lot of BMP practices where a lot of the machinery is too big that farmers have. So if you have a smaller machine for some of these smaller BMPs, it's a potential to rent it out. So I believe that we can pay for the machine between renting it out for some of these smaller projects and by using our own grant dollars to actually do the projects ourselves.
Plus, it's probably pretty hard to find somebody to do these little projects.
It is harder to find, I mean, the big projects, no problem, it's the small projects, you know, it's like, you know, they spend you know, a lot of time on just a small project. So again, that's why we're looking at this, we do have a technician now, so, you know, he would have the time to operate this on some of the smaller projects. We have the equipment with the toolcat that can easily handle a 7-foot drill. Again, so I'm looking at a motion, we already did a motion, but not to exceed 25,000. I believe we'll probably get into something around the 16 to 17,000. But again, just want to give ourselves some flexibility when it comes to looking at some of this different equipment. We have looked at quite a few different options to try to figure out what will fit us and fit our needs the best. And that's roughly the price range we're in.
Any other discussion?
Question, is it a front mounted seeder then?
No, the ones we're looking at right now is a rear mount seeder. And the reason we're looking at the rear mount, whether it be a toe behind or a 3-point, is we can put a small soil conditioner on the front to prep in front and seed in the back. So we can do it all in one pass.
Okay. My suggestion is you get as many seed compartments as available from the company. Because if you try to add them later, it's really expensive, and most of ours are two compartments, but 3 or 4 or whatever they have is nice.
Yeah, most of the ones we're looking at have 3, because they have the native seed compartment, because native seed is kind of a crab. It's sometimes real small or real fluffy, and doesn't go through a regular seeder very well. So yeah, the ones we're looking at have 3 boxes and one specific to native seed.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, will you please call roll?
Manager Backus?
Aye.
Manager Kramer?
Aye.
Manager Hanson?
Aye.
Manager Pasuski?
Aye.
Manager DeBoer?
Aye.
Manager Lee?
Aye.
Manager Delter?
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item I is a motion to expand the district parking lot and not to exceed $7,000. Again, what we're looking at doing is adding a gravel parking lot to this side of the shed, back to our property line. This will add for additional parking during meetings. This will also add a location for us to park our trailers and some of our equipment that is stored outside, not on the grass, but on the gravel parking pad. So again, looking for a motion to expand the district parking lots not to exceed $7,000.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
By Manager Kramer, do we have a second?
Second.
By Manager Pasuski, any discussion?
I'm full of ideas today, so make sure that the material we put on it absorbs the moisture or water. I know I've been on the summer tours and there's different material that you can use that holds the water a little bit better, and I don't think we're looking at a you know, there's you can do blacktop, can't you, Andy, with the storage underneath it or whatever too?
Yeah, the non-porous or the porous blacktop. I was just looking at a gravel.
Well, I'm just saying, if that material, if we go to that porous material someday, if the sub base is of good quality, we can probably do it that way. That's what I'm saying. Thank you.
Have a motion, did I? No motion, anybody have a motion?
Yeah, I have. one.
Okay, I thought I did, I didn't write it down. Or discussion, any more discussion? No? We have please call roll.
Manager Bachman,
Aye.
Manager Kramer.
Aye.
Manager Hanson.
Aye.
Manager Pasuski,
Aye.
Manager DeBoer,
Aye.
Manager Lee.
Aye.
Manager Delger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item J is a motion to fence the parking lot area not to exceed $20,000. I can get a motion and then we can discuss.
We have a motion,
So,
motion for Manager Lee, do we have a second?
Second.
By Manager Pasuski, discussion.
Mr. Chair, what we're looking at here is part of this parking lot would be fenced off with a gate. Again, this would be able to help us secure our equipment such as our 3 trailers that we have out there now, and any other equipment that we have. Again, not looking at fencing off the whole area, just a smaller section of it, probably the section to the north. Again, to lock up our equipment and not have to worry as much about theft.
Any other discussion?
My comment would be maybe a better option with camera.
We have cameras.
Cause I had that at our job, we just have a camera. And that's really prevented everything. Even though we could go, Chief's golf and say we had a trailer stolen. So he looks on the camera and it was a friend of mine that I couldn't get it. Without telling Jay. But it just prevented, you know. Just thought.
Yeah, we've had, you know, my previous job, we had cameras too, and you bring the police in and they look at them and they, well, we can't really get a good identification or we can't get a good license plate and you can't prove it's them. So it doesn't always work.
We have a license plate.
So I mean, I can see both ways, using, still having both, so, but. The fencing, I can't believe we haven't had something stolen out there yet, with trailers are going around here. Every day, just about.
Every time I pull the lot,
One more comment. I since being, we are, excuse me, being a watershed district. During chance we could have a little more greener fence is what I'm saying here, maybe shrubbery or something, you know, with that, you know, prevents people from rolling it off by hand or whatever in a camera or whatever, but I'm just thinking a little bit outside the box, maybe a little, like I say, green fence or whatever. Like living fence or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of looked at that a little bit. Again, it depends on, you know, what you're trying to prevent. Sometimes living fences can give people even better places to hide when they're looking at stealing something. This fence, I mean, if the fencing I'm looking at would be similar to what we have, you know, out at the fish barrier on the Overly Lake Dam, where it's nice coated color. It's not just a silver galvanized fence. It's more of a aesthetically pleasing fence. Again, it wouldn't be the whole area. One of the other problems, you know, we do have is we do have a back door or a side door on the garage over there. The thought was to actually help prevent and close that one in as well, because we don't really have good visual or visibility over in that section. You know, the other thing, looking at the fencing is again, just keeping your stuff, you know, under lock and key. There's other stuff that we could look at storing outside that, you know, there is value to it. You know, if you have something with electrical wire or something on it, you know, if you have a bunch of shrubs, they can just go through the shrubs and cut over whatever copper off they want. So again, I'm just looking at securing and protecting our equipment on the outside.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So what is, we have insurance on all that stuff, so what is our deductible? It's gotta be fairly high.
Well, yeah, you guys complain about it every year. I'm sure it would only help us in trying to reduce some of that deductible, but yeah. I can't give you a number right offhand, it's in the $40,000 a year.
it cost us, but what is, I mean, as far as deductible, if somebody.
Oh, if somebody steals something,
Steal a trailer, I mean, we got $2,000, $10,000,
well, that I'll have to check for you, I don't have that.
would take long to pay for a fence. But some stuff anyway. Any more discussion? Hearing none, will you please call roll?
Manager Bachman.
Aye.
Manager Kramer.
Aye.
Manager Hanson.
Aye.
Manager Besuski.
Aye.
Manager DeBoer.
Aye.
Manager Lee.
Aye.
Manager Dalton.
Aye, motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, that is all I have for administrative items.
Okay, item number 8. Manager items, board manager appointees. Appointments.
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, I will be reaching out to the Freeborn County commissioners and the administrator up there. Again, we have 2 managers up for reappointment. If they would like, again, to submit a letter, again, to sit on the board. I believe the 2 up are Joe Pasuski and Mike Hanson. So again, if you are interested, please, once you'll see the county put an ad out to submit a letter. And then hopefully they will have either reappointed or selected all the managers by the July meeting. All I have there.
Okay. I have one item.
Sure.
Under managers, some of our projects, you know, we develop them ourselves. And I'll take JD number 9, the ditch system in South Beverly and Highway 69. And we actually helped develop some of the Wasmone property in the past. And now it's US Fish and Wildlife, is that correct? So like the other day I took, or I was invited to go along with a contractor and we went to the outlet of Pickerel Lake. And we looked at some of the trees, and some of the trees are 8-9 feet tall already over the county tile lines. And as a owner of the ditch system on that JD number 9, us owners are responsible for the maintenance of that. And we contact the county ditch inspectors to look at it. So what I'm trying to do is develop a maintenance program for those projects that we've started or been part of. Because it costs tens of thousands of dollars to repair those lines, and they're 36-inch lines and they're 18 feet deep in some areas. And we have another project by Alden's the same way. There's some county tile that maybe comes into it now and drains the neighbors and whatever. So I'd like to get that drainage committee together in June or something and work on it a little bit. I think there's a Bryson property you're working on now. There's a county system next to that. Just like to have a request for a committee meeting probably in June or so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other manager items? Number 9, upcoming meetings. Our next board meeting is June the 11th. Take that. Sure. Any other thing we need to discuss? Anyone? Motion to adjourn. Manager Statement, do I have a second? Second. Manager Flores, any discussion? Roll.
Manager Bachman.
Aye.
Manager Kramer.
Aye.
Manager Hanson.
Aye.
Manager Besuski.
Aye.
Manager DeBoer.
Aye.
Manager Lee.
Aye.
Manager Dalton.
Aye, we are adjourned.
Thanks, everyone.